Hello everyone, and welcome back to CountryCast. Here in our second installment of the series, we are going to honor more of the country greats that left us way too soon and had such an everlasting impact on the genre. First up, we are going to start with the man who has been deemed as the father of country music, America's blue yodeler, James Charles Rogers. You all may know him as Jimmie Rodgers. Jimmie Rodgers was born on September 8, 1897, and rose to fame in the late 1920s after much work performing while maintaining his hard labor on the railroads and being recognized for his incredible ability of yodeling incorporated with his bluesy style of play. One song that truly captivated this within his short-lived career was his famous classic, Blue Yodel No. 1, T for Texas. And of course, his music also resonated with much of the nation during the Great Depression. A song you all may know titled Waiting for a Train. And Rodgers' career was bright early on and throughout. However, things took a devastating turn in 1924 when he was diagnosed with the ugly illness of tuberculosis at the age of just 27 years old. Jimmie Rodgers managed his illness throughout his career. However, tragically, in the year of 1933, Rodgers lost his life at the young age of just 35 years old. Prior to Rodgers' passing, he had reduced his number of appearances on tour schedules. During a recording session out in New York City in May of 1933, while fulfilling his contract obligations with Victor Records, he fought to try and finish the recordings that were expected of him, sitting down throughout takes and even needing assistance from a nurse in between some of those takes and getting rest on a cot. However, after a week of working to make the cuts happen, on May 26, 1933, Rodgers passed away after he succumbed to a pulmonary hemorrhage brought on by an intense cough from the tuberculosis. Rodgers' career may have been cut short, but his music lives on in the heart of country music forever. Next on our list is a man best known for his role on the hit television show Hee Haw and famous member of the Grand Ole Opry, David Aikman, aka Stringbean. David Stringbean Aikman was born on June 17, 1915, and enjoyed much success as a banjo picker. Both he and his wife's life, however, came to an unexpected and tragic end on November 10, 1973, after being murdered. On the night of November 10, 1973, he and his wife had returned home from his performance at the Grand Ole Opry. Upon their arrival to their home, a small cabin near Ridgetop, Tennessee, they encountered two men who had ransacked their cabin and waited on them to return. Stringbean attempted to fight off the men in his home. However, he and his wife were both shot to death. Sadly, Stringbean and his wife were found by his good friend and fellow banjo picker, Grandpa Jones, the next day, and it is believed that Stringbean did not trust banks after the failures during the Great Depression, which led to the gossip around Nashville that Aikman kept large amounts of money at his home. Both men, who were cousins, John Brown and Marvin Brown, were convicted of the killings. Aikman was regarded as one of the best banjo pickers to ever do it. Another country great we lost too soon was King Malachi Street, also known as Mel Street. Mel Street was born on October 21, 1935, and really hit the ground running in country music throughout the 1970s with hits like Borrowed Angel, Smoky Mountain Memories, Loving on Back Streets, I Met a Friend of Yours Today, and many others. Sadly, October 21, 1978, on his 43rd birthday, the country music legend from Grundy, Virginia, passed away by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. According to a biography encapsulating Street's young life in and out of music, Street suffered from depression and battled alcohol problems, as well as his scheduled touring took a massive toll on his family life. Mel was, without question, one of the greats. George Jones, who is arguably one of the greatest voices to ever don country music, had much respect as well for Mel Street. We now honor another artist that made a significant impact on country music, Jim Reeves, aka Gentleman Jim. Reeves was born on August 20th, 1923, and is credited in shaping what is known as the Nashville Sound, and found much success not only in the States, but internationally as well, as also being an inductee into the Country Music Hall of Fame. However, Jim Reeves' life came to an unexpected end when he was only 40 years old. Jim Reeves passed away on July 31st, 1964, after his private plane had crashed after encountering a storm while piloting the plane over Brentwood, Tennessee, on his way back from Arkansas on that day. 2 days after the crash on August 2nd, both Reeves and his pianist Dean Manuel, who was also aboard the plane, were located within the wreckage of the aircraft. Reeves will forever be known as the Texan who changed Nashville. Next legend on our list is Johnny Horton, aka the Singing Fisherman. Horton was born on April 30th, 1925, and after performing early on out at the Louisiana Hayride, Horton found real success after signing to Columbia Records, where he channeled more of a rockabilly sound intertwined with honky-tonk, and of course his love for adding history into songs. In 1956, he released his hit Honky Tonk Man and continued to shell out hits throughout the remainder of his career. Tragically, Horton's career came to an unexpected end in the year of 1960 at the young age of just 35 years old. What is chilling surrounding Horton's untimely passing is that according to several reports, Johnny Horton claimed to have psychic abilities and possibly predicted his passing. Multiple reports allege that Horton believed that he would lose his life at the hands of a drunk. And on November 5th, 1960, Horton and his bassist Tillman Franks and manager Tommy Tomlinson were involved in a major vehicle accident colliding with the pickup truck out in Milano, Texas, on their way back to Shreveport, Louisiana. Tomlinson and Franks both survived the crash. However, Horton passed on his way to the hospital. The driver of the truck was later charged with intoxication and manslaughter. Johnny Horton will forever be remembered as one of the most popular honky-tonk voices to ever grace country music. Next, we have a man from the modern era of country music and who found much success throughout the 90s and early 2000s, Jeff Carson. Jeff Carson was born on December 16, 1963. Early on in his career, Carson played in various bands, and by 1994, he signed as a solo act with Curb Records, launching his career. By the year of 2009, he had retired from music and pursued a career as a law enforcement officer with the Franklin Police Department in Tennessee. And on March 26, 2022, at the age of 58 years old, Jeff Carson passed away after suffering from a heart attack. The Franklin Police Department turned to social media where they shared, "It's hard to believe he's gone. One thing is for certain. Franklin Police Officer Jeff Carson changed everyone he met, all of us for the better. Thank you, Jeff, for your life of service and song. May his message live on. God save the world." And last but not least, we remember country icon Red Foley. Red Foley was born on June 17, 1910, and Mr. Country Music transcended the genre with his crooner vocals, if you will, and his play on rhythm and blues and the boogie style. On September 19, 1968, Red Foley passed away at the age of 58 years old. Foley passed away after performing out in Fort Wayne, Indiana, alongside two other acts, Billy Walker and a young Hank Williams Jr. According to Walker and multiple reports on that day, before their second performance, Foley made his way to Walker's dressing room and asked Billy Walker, "Do you think God could ever forgive a sinner like me?" Foley also shared some stories from his life. Billy Walker responded to Foley and said, "If God can forgive me, he can forgive you." The two prayed, and Foley went on stage to perform his last song of the night, "Peace in the Valley." After the performance, Foley told Walker that he had never felt that way, like he did that night performing that song. And later that night, in his sleep, Foley passed away from respiratory failure. Foley reached audiences never seen before in country music at his time, and without a doubt, he deserves the nickname Mr. Country Music. I also want to take a moment and remember one more icon, Waylon Jennings. Jennings is one of my personal favorites of all time. Waylon passed at the age of 64 years old on February 13th, 2002, after his long battle with diabetes-related health issues. Even though he made it beyond his 60s, out of the outlaw movement, he tragically was one of the first to leave us in country music. And I could only imagine how much more great music Waylon had in the tank. Not only does his voice become immediately recognizable when you hear him, but the sound of his guitar as soon as the note hits in a song, it has that same effect on fans. There is no doubt that Waylon's accolades and awards could be shared for days, but his name alone speaks for itself when describing a true icon in the business. Thank you to all of these legends who gave us such wonderful country music, and each one of these artists will never be forgotten and forever be a reason why country music is the best damn genre that there ever has and will be. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in here at CountryCast today. That will be all for today's video.